Well, hello once again, and welcome to yet another edition of Get Me The Brandy here on SportsNet Pittsburgh. I am Dan Potash, and I am joined by my good friend and colleague at SMP, former Penguin, Ryan Malone. Bugsy, how are you, buddy?
Top of the morning to you, sir.
Top of the morning. All right, deep breath. The Penguins' most recent game, once again, overtime, shootout, didn't end the way we wanted to. A 5-4 thriller against the Carolina Hurricanes, in which the boys battled back from a 2-goal deficit with just over 2 minutes to play. You certainly thought the momentum was rolling in their direction, right? You know, they stormed back a 6-on-5 goal once, a 6-on-5 goal twice, 4-4 OT, excitement, shootout. Uh, okay, I get it. They're 1-10 in the shootout. However, let's put that on hold for a moment. They do get a point. And with less than 20 games remaining and the way things are stacked up in the division and the wild card and so forth, how big is that point?
I think it's a huge point, and again, we are playing Carolina two more times as well. So, it's always going to be a tight battle and come down to the special teams, and even battling back there in overtime. The Pens did have a 4-on-3. End up not generating that last goal, hopefully to seal the victory, but. Again, I think that's the Penguins team that again is never going to quit, and that's kind of been their identity all year. And they have been getting rewarded from playing the right way and playing together, so they're always in the hunt here, and that's definitely a big point down the stretch with how tight things are.
I guess some fans may be tempted, excuse me, to play Monday morning quarterback, if you will. So if we fast forward to the end of the season, and I believe you, Jay, and I talked about this during commercial break of the postgame show last night after the difficult loss to Carolina, and you look at some of the points or a fraction of the points that have been left on the table will have been left on the table for missed opportunities to get 2 points after winning a shootout. Do you at some point, worry about scratching your head going, oh, man, if we just had.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I love how Muse even like took the blame for it. He's like, I can put the guys in better positions. He's really deflecting it on to himself and the coaches as a great leader, I guess, kind of would. And that just, yeah, the numbers just don't add up with the skill the Penguins have. And even the goaltending. I mean, both goalies, as we see during the games, are lights out, especially on the breakaways they do accidentally give up once in a while. So just a funny number. There's not much you can do about it. Maybe us fans can, whatever we're normally watching our seats when it comes shootouts, get up, spin around, turn our hats inside out next time. Whatever we can do to send some positive vibes to the Penguins to get that extra point. I don't know, but again, they are battling, and it is, I think, Carolina's now up by 8 points at the moment, and they actually have the same regulation loss as the Hurricanes, as we talked about how important those extra points have been. But it is what it is, and now you just got to worry about the next, 19 games.
uh, you talked about some things that you could do, and I think it was just a few days ago that the players talked about how this could possibly be a mental thing in their heads, and they think about it too much now, and it's leaning in the wrong direction. But when it comes to practice, we see it every once in a while towards the end of practice in Cranberry, where they'll take the ice and have it. It almost seems as if it's a fun way to end practice, but obviously there's more to it than just that. Can you practice it more? Can you watch tape on it more? What else can Dan Muse and his staff do to find more production and be victorious in the shootout?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Chinakhov made an unbelievable move, had a wide open net, right, and it just kind of slid off his stick a little bit, and otherwise, like Anderson was, in the corner, and it's just one of those bounces. So I think the hockey gods are maybe saying stay with it for, for that lucky bounce. Again, like when you see it wide open, especially with Chinakhov, mishandle it, which you rarely do see. Um, you know, Maybe there's some pre-scouting. I'm sure Andy Kyoto and the guys do probably have a pre-scout on the goalies and how they've been beat, maybe on breakaways or kind of what those analytics are. But it's really coming down to the shooter and him reading and reacting what the goalie's kind of giving him. It's kind of tough to have that. I'm going to go down and shoot it low stick side in my head, and it's not there, and you still kind of force it. That's when I think the mind gets in the way a little bit instead of just kind of reading, reacting, and playing hockey. At the end of the day, we all know these guys can bury the puck in the shootout. It's just one of those crazy numbers right now they got going. So again, maybe if we just keep sending positive vibes, it's going to turn. Just, maybe we talk about it less, but I don't know.
Okay, I think someone's giving me a hint. Okay, let's not talk about that anymore. You mentioned where the Penguins stand in relation to the Metropolitan Division, chasing the Carolina Hurricanes. They play them 2 more times, a week from today, once again in Raleigh, and then back in Pittsburgh just a few days after that, where they were victorious against Carolina back in December. You've been in both positions. Back when the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2010-11, you were chasing the Capitals in the old the Southwest Division. I'll get to the other half of this question, but what was it like having a team chase another, being on a squad that was chasing another team? Did you seem to find it easier to raise your level of play, knowing that, okay, we're here, but we want to be here?
Yeah, I mean, I think any hockey player, when it comes down to this stretch to make the playoffs, it shouldn't be that hard to get up for the games because, once you kind of get into the playoffs, anything can kind of happen. You have that belief. So it's kind of really managing what you can control. Again, the way, you play, you're trying to play discipline and make the other team earn their goals. And again, you just want to make sure those little things on special teams are buttoned up and everyone's bringing that energy and effort, and as a collective group, it's not just always on one player, it's all 5 guys on the ice being on the same page. So really just looking at yourself and making sure you're bringing your best effort, and it's an exciting time of year. So I mean, it really is the best part of hockey is coming up, so it should be a great stretch here watching the boys battle.
Okay, so let's flip the script, if you will. Back in 07, 08, you found yourself holding off teams, fending off the Devils and so forth. A lot of matchups against the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Flyers to close out the regular season. I think in the final 8 games, you played each one of them twice. What do you remember about the tail end of that season, and how important can those head-to-head matchups be with so little time remaining?
Yeah, I think at that time, unfortunately, I just remember, we're obviously Colby Armstrong was part of the trade to bring in Hossa, and that kind of shocked a lot of us, but also gave us a clear sign that management, really thought we had a chance of, bringing the cup back to Pittsburgh. And when you pick up a player like Marian Hossa, you're like, wow, what a amazing talent player he is to now add to our team. So I think we were all just excited again for what the team we had down the stretch, and we were very just, I felt, focused again on the task at hand, one game at a time, but doing it our way, and that really just, I think, propelled us into the playoffs, and we ran through those teams pretty good going into the finals there in 08.
So let me ask you this, and maybe it's easier to look back upon it, all these years later. What's more fun, chasing a team or being chased?
To me, it was all fun. 'Cause you're playing important games at the end of the year, and I think that you're like when unfortunate. I'm sure Sydney's guys been out of the playoffs, a few months earlier, right? Not having these games matter means a lot, and it goes a lot even with your young guys down the stretch. The Kindle and this experience is great for the guys to have every game matter. And really, we talk, I'm kind of being repetitive about the little things, but it really comes down to those like line changes and face-off plays at the end of the day. You see how close these 1-goal games are. So all this experience, every game matters, is really great for the group, and you learn a lot about how hockey really is played at the highest level, especially come playoff time. There's less time, obviously a little more physicality to it, but you really learn what hockey's about. And, I think it's a privilege to be in these situations and opportunities to embrace, to grow as a team, to come together as a team. You see Buffalo now, especially after that 8-7 game in Tampa. They're already probably tight, but after, again, those games like that, the group comes even tighter, and I think it's just great for the game, with how competitive the league is now for all of us fans to watch and be a part of. So it's great for the game, and it's definitely great, I think, for those younger guys in Pittsburgh here to have that experience, especially with their leadership group now. To learn from these guys in these kind of more bigger games and pressure situations.
And as we go down the stretch run here, the Penguins have been forced to play a few games without the services of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, so they need other players to step up. That means some of the older guys and some of the newer guys like Egor Chinakhov. When we return on Get Me The Brandy, we'll talk about what he has brought to the table, and it's certainly been a lot. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Registration is open now for the Sidney Crosby Little Penguins Learn to Play program. Kids ages 5 through 9 receive head-to-toe hockey equipment, hours of on-ice instruction, and so much more. Sign up today.
All right, welcome back to Get Me The Brandy. And Egor Chinakhov was a name that we really did not hear a lot about, I guess because he really didn't have an opportunity to spread his wings and take flight as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But Ryan, since he's joined the Penguins, he's certainly been very productive. The team has been forced to try to find a way to stay in the thick of things in the playoff race without the services of number 71 and number 87. But here comes Egor Chinakhov, and he automatically clicked with Evgeny Malkin. It's been fun to watch those two complement one another. But with Evgeny out of the lineup, Chinakhov continues to produce. So what are your thoughts about what he's been able to do and how he's continued to do it without Evgeny Malkin?
Yeah, I think, whatever happened in Columbus, it seemed like he wasn't getting the best opportunity. And, obviously wanted out of there. They felt he wasn't as valuable there for their team. Dubas did give up a second and third for him, but as you can tell, he's an elite talent. He's probably right in that ballpark range, of these 25-year-olds. I feel like Dubas is gathering to build this next generation of Penguins. But I think any Russian player, you get to come over and play with Evgeny Malkin, and then his resume is probably pretty exciting. And Gino being so creative, and being able to make his wingers be better and just give him the puck. As you can tell, Chinakhov, most of his opportunities when he gets that shot off in the slot is in the back of the net. And I think from that early confidence coming to Pittsburgh and producing now, when the guys are out, he probably has that confidence to continue his play and elevate his play, as we've seen most of the Penguins step up when we kind of have the man go down, that next man up mentality. And I think it's just an amazing pickup. And we keep talking about his shot, and even the guys on the team talk about it in practice. And when you hear those guys speak so highly of it, it's a pretty phenomenal talent. So, he has those tools, and then it's up to the coaches and Muse to help build him and put him in positions to continue to succeed. So very excited for his future here in Pittsburgh, hopefully for a long time.
So I want to throw this at you. And if I'm correct, Egor has a goal and 4 assists in the 3 games minus Evgeny Malkin. So when Gino comes back, do you place Egor back on a line with Malkin and Tommy Novak? Or do you continue to let Chinakhov stay with Raquel and Rust until Sid comes back? And, we saw some video of Sidney practicing non-contact in Raleigh yesterday, but maybe he's ready to, or very close to returning as well. It kind of, it's a fun question to think about.
Yeah. I think, depending on if it's home ice or away, maybe to, split them up. So maybe the top pair just isn't on the one line, and kind of keep that balanced attack. And I think that's really been the strength this year up and down the lineup. They're kind of getting that up. We talk about that depth scoring doer on the fourth line with 14 goals, and how great that line has been all year, being consistent. And I think that's what the coaching staff have done a great job of as well, as putting these guys in their roles. And as a player, I know when hey, this is your kind of job on the team, you can truly embrace that role and be the best you can at it, because you're just kind of that little piece to the big puzzle, and you can kind of hone in on those skills. But again, up and down the lineup, the strength there has been great, and that's why the Penguins are in the mix now here come playoff time, which is probably beating a lot of people's expectations from our thoughts from the beginning of the year.
Last week, President of Hockey Ops and General Manager Kyle Dubas was a guest on Penguins Game Plan and was asked about the play of Egor and what he's been able to do in a short amount of time. Let's take a listen.
When you gauge what he's done versus what you hope for, has he exceeded it? Has he met it? Where's he at with that?
I think the scoring has been excellent, and I think he does a lot of very smart things. He's above the puck. He changes in smart times. It's notable if you're watching at the end when he's on the second unit power play. When they get to the end of the power play, he's never trying to overstay. He changes so a defenseman can come out to get us back to our usual formation. It's small things like that. All of that said, I think with him, there's still so much more potential for him as a player overall. And I think that's on us to build that plan out for him to continue to work and develop and evolve. And I know that he's going to put the work in. So I think it's sometimes with guys, they just need to change for any number of reasons. And he's one of the guys that kind of fits into that box, and it's been a great fit for us, and we just look forward to continue to work with him here over the next number of years.
It sounds as if Kyle would like to see Egor have a future here in Pittsburgh. So Ryan, my question to you is, do you think that what he's doing right now is just kind of situational, or is it something that he can continue to repeat in years to come? And again, I understand it's very early in his tenure here.
Yeah. No, I think, again, given the opportunity, he's probably at least hit the expectations. And as you talk or hear Dubas speak of, again, those little intangibles of, right, he's not out there to think about his points or himself. He's understanding the game situation and when to get off the ice, and kind of a team guy, team first mentality. And if you look at his numbers there, he's only averaging, just over 30. I mean, it was about 14 minutes a game. So if you can get him up on that second, at least, or first line eventually, and then on that first power play unit, you're looking at, 18 minutes, and he's going to get even more opportunities offensively to produce and be in those more offensive situations. So again, I think those numbers would only climb, and he's obviously earning them and earning that ice time based on his play. And again, he's competing at 200 feet of the ice, and he's a great skater, and he puts himself in these high scoring chances and good positions to produce. So another great talent that hopefully, again, will be here for a long time, because I think when you have that skill level along with the team mentality, those are the guys you want on your team for a long time and willing to go to battle here. So again, down the stretch, I think we'll see a lot of the little extra character these guys have when gets a little more physical and gritty, if they're willing to continue to pay that price for the team. So it's, again, an exciting time to be a Penguin fan, and especially down the stretch here of these important games, to see how guys react and how the team hopefully continues to grow and come together.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back
Let's go eat sushi.
for an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah. Getting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on SportsNet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan.
Let's talk about some of the kids that have joined the Penguins this season. If I'm correct, 10 rookies have played for the Penguins, and that's a big number. And I know when you talk about rookies, Ben Kindle is right at the top of the list because at 18, drafted in the first round, I don't think a lot of people saw him making the team, let alone having the kind of impact that he's had so far. But there are others as well. You, once upon a time, not too long ago, were a rookie as well back in 2003. What's the most difficult part outside of being, harassed and, the butt of every joke and, having the rookie dinner and all that stuff? What's the most difficult part about being a rookie on the ice?
I think just being not so intimidated with all the heroes you looked up to as a hockey fan growing up, I think. And then, guys like Donald Brashear chasing you around, trying, the different mentality as a young kid, you're realizing you're in the big boy league now, right? You're literally, taking food off the plate of other men that are fighting for their families, and it becomes a job a little more serious than, the juniors and all that, where you realize, whoa, this is my job now. But for me, I was just so thankful and I had so much fun that first year. I know we finished dead last, I'm pretty sure, but I had the best. I would trade in for a Stanley Cup, but other than that, that was probably one of my favorite years in the league. Just being able to actually say like hockey was my job. It was still kind of like a weird thing. Like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I play hockey and actually get paid for it. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And obviously, being from Pittsburgh and playing for the Penguins is just kind of like these pinch me moments all year long. And just taking it all in, getting to travel to all these amazing rinks and playing in Montreal and just being in the National Hockey League was just so cool. I think the challenge at the end of the day as a young guy is keeping up with that pace and physicality, the wear and tear of the long season, and how to take care of yourself and really be a pro. And but all of that is, it just comes with experience. And same thing, you get more familiar with the rinks you're traveling on the road, the kind of the routine of things. So you kind of get in a little better flow of traveling and taking care of yourself, like I said. So all those little things, but man, it was just a blast.
Do you look back at all and remember what it was like to be the son of a former Penguin player who was pretty productive for the team here? You're wearing your dad's old number. Did that help ease you into playing in the National Hockey League, or did it create more pressure for you?
Yeah, I don't think there's any pressure. I mean, even coming into training camp that year, Matt and Murley and I, they're kind of, rebuilding a little bit, and we were, entry level contracts. And I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, leaving school, I'm like, either way, if I played in Wilkes-Barre or Pittsburgh, I'm still saying hockey's my job. So I just thought that was pretty cool in itself at the end of the day. Like, I was just thankful for the opportunity and getting drafted. I know because, as you mentioned, my dad playing and then being the head scout, I kind of knew, hey, there's plenty of even first rounders that don't pan out. So nothing's, guaranteed. But you kind of just keep working at it. And, I think it was just very, lucky situation when I was being around the rink as a young kid and with the trainers, Sevy, and knowing management beforehand, growing up with them. And then now being able to put on that sweater for real in training camp. I think it was just so much pride in putting on the black and gold. Just meant so much. There was never any pressure. If anything, I thought it was just an honor. So going out there, I just remember even on the penalty kill, just ragging the puck or, those little things the fans really appreciated, that extra, the boost, the blue collar stuff. They just wanted you to go out there and play hard and play in their face and not quit, and I think that's was the most honorable thing for me, being able to play for the Penguins.
Uh, you know, I remember when Mario Lemieux retired the first time, one of the things he talked about was that the game had too much clutching and grabbing, and it was not allowing some of the talented players offensively to really display their skills because they couldn't get to their game. When he returned, things had changed. You couldn't do that as much, so that the talent of those players like Mario could really take center stage. So, how is the league different for rookies now than it was back then? And again, I'm talking about a rule thing with Mario, but I'm just trying to talk about how drastically different the game can be from a 5-year span to a 10-year span, or for you, sorry, buddy, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about. I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, I remember even, growing up, watching Mario. He has 2-3 guys on him, hooking, holding. He's still battling through it, right? Yags, they're all like, guys are just literally hanging all over them. They just continue to battle through it. And then I think as then, like the game, the guys you always had, I think bigger was always better, right? Because you had your stick, you kind of hook onto their hips and just hold on. But now the game got so fast, as you can tell, everyone's so much more agile. And you especially look at the defensemen, and you look at, Carlson and Letang, and now you got, Makar and Hughes and, really all 4 Buffalo defensemen, the young core there with Darlene. They generate so much offense out of that back end together. It's like these 5-man units now, where I thought with that rule change has really opened up as we talk about that skill level in skating. So you had to really, find these players now that are, super, super agile. And Soderblom, 6'8", being able to move out there is pretty darn impressive. And I think now that the rookies, the challenges, again, I think with the intensity and speed of the league, is keeping that strength kind of throughout the year. Might be that challenge for a guy like Kindle, who's 18, and some of those things. But I think for the most part, I mean, I do remember switching the rules. So anytime you kind of hook and had your stick parallel to the ice, they were calling it, pretty. That was kind of the standard. And I'm pretty sure, Sergei Gonchar had over 100 penalty minutes without taking a 10-minute misconduct with all his hooks, because he was so used to, he was just programmed to like just hook on. He's been doing it for so long. I think a lot of us had that learning curve too, which is kind of funny to look back on, but again, now you really get to see the skill level of everyone in the National Hockey League. That's why there's no easy games anymore against whoever you're playing. If you're not sharp, all these guys can, shoot the puck and snap it around. So you just not a lot of time to kind of be lackadaisical out there. You really need to be focused on your task at hand.
And again, I brought up the example of Mario just with the thought that if the league was the way it was years ago, maybe someone like Ben Kindle, who has a lot of offensive skill, would not be able to shine, maybe doesn't make this team because he can't get to his game the way he had at the junior level, and so forth and so on. So it's nice to see that the league has changed so many years later, and there's someone like an 18-year-old kid who can make the team at a camp and score 15 goals. So that was my point there. And staying with rookies, again, Kindle, Sheloffs, Koivunen, McGroarty, long list. Who would you say has been the Penguins' Rookie of the Year 3/4 of the way through the season?
Yeah, I mean, you got to favor, Kindle. And again, I think it's just based off the opportunity and the situations they really put him out there. I thought they tested him early on, even in training camp, the exhibition games and those early games in the year, to see if he's going to make it to 10 games or not. They were still, playing him those last 5 minutes, or even sometimes when the other team pulled their goalie, to kind of see, I think, how he would react to those high pressure situations. And man, I thought he was very composed, especially in the D zone down low if he won a battle instead of just ripping the puck off the glass and out. He really did a good job of kind of taking a second and making the best play possible, which is, again, a great testament to his probably hockey IQ and knowledge of the game and understanding his time and space awareness. So, you look down the stretch here as well, he's been able to continue to contribute and produce offensively. And, that's a great sign for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Do you think he'll have the biggest impact for the Penguins in the time moving forward? Is there one player that you feel that will develop even more in the next year or two, or is it too hard to kind of look that far ahead since rookies are still learning?
Yeah, I mean, it depends really how their off seasons are. Right? I'm sure all these guys have got here for their work ethic and determination and discipline. So it's kind of continuing on that path. And then I love how you always hear Dubas talk about the plan kind of for each of these individual players and meeting them where they're at and how they can kind of continue to develop them to fit their team. So I think that's a great assessment, again, from the top, looking at each player as these individuals. How can we maximize their potential? Again, working on their strengths and, but also making sure they're well-rounded people. So again, I think Kendall obviously has the most potential because he's the youngest, I think, but I like Soderblom. I know he's not necessarily a rookie, but 6'8", being able to move, and just even the 2 games we've been able to see him, he can be really dangerous. I feel in a few years, if he's just sitting back door or wherever you want to put him on the ice, he can really change the momentum of a game, I think, as well. So that's again, you put him and Chinakhov, you got all these. You look at that line possibly down the road. If you had Chinakhov, Kindle, and Soderblom, I mean, that's like a new age, I don't know, freak line. I don't even know what you'd call that.
Definitely, and the kid line, right? And we already had a kid line earlier in the season, so this is kind of like the kid line part 2. And talking about what the kids have been able to do, new coaching staff this year. Dan Muse comes in, first-time head coach in the National Hockey League, 42 years old, but has had a long resume working at the college level with Team USA junior hockey and so forth. How much do you think he has had in helping mold some of these kids? And again, I understand that there are several coaches involved in that, but what has he been able to do that maybe has made it easier for the players to relate to him and the system he put in place?
Yeah, I think he, delivers a pretty simple message. And I think at the end of the day, from his comments, even in the shootout the other night, like he's taking the blame for it. We all know that he's not out there shooting the puck in the shootout with the professionals. But again, I think his leadership and then the message through him and his coaching staff to the players, hey, if we play the right way and we stick together, we're going to have success. I don't think there's a secret recipe in the National Hockey League to have success. We talk about all night, watch the turnovers at the blue line, right? Be sharp on the faceoffs and make sure your special teams are doing well. Make sure if you are, want traffic in front of the net to score more goals. I mean, everyone kind of has a recipe, but then it's getting the team to believe in that recipe and come together as a group. And I think, Muse with a fresh voice, I think even like you look at Carlson, I think sometimes, you try to make these maybe lower percentage plays or feel like you have to do more than, they're even asking you. And really it's kind of like, hey, let's simplify the game. And that way, you're making less turnovers and you're controlling the pace and flow of the game and dictating the game the Penguins want to when they're on the ice. And I think that's, a fresh message that everyone obviously has jumped on board with, and that belief in the system and again, when you have success from that system that the coaches put in place, it reassures, hey, we're on the right path here. We're doing the right things. And then again, you look at the leadership in the locker room. I mean, you can't ask for a better core leadership. So, if you're not on the train they'll find someone else that'll hop on the train and push with the Penguins. Again, the culture that Sid and the level they have of excellence
Yeah.
is up here. So again, it's getting everybody on board. But I think, Sid, everyone just with that fresh voice and new kind of attitude, they love proving people wrong. I know a lot of the fans even probably wrote the team off. Hey, we're just going to rebuild the next few years, get rid of these guys sooner or later. But now it's like, wow, we got the special teams clicking, 5-on-5. Play has been great. And then we've had those big stops in net as well, goaltending. So I do believe hopefully we get the guys back here healthy soon. And down the stretch, hopefully we see the Penguins in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Let's turn back the clock. Once again, we continue to celebrate, as we've done every week, the 2016 Stanley Cup Championship for the Penguins. And it was this week in Penguin history, not too long ago, when Marc-Andre Fleury became the 20th goaltender to reach 350 wins with a 3-2 W over the Blue Jackets. He would go on to record 575 wins, second all-time, only to Martin Brodeur. Made his debut, and I remember it like it was yesterday, back in 2003 against the LA Kings at Mellon Arena with those yellow pads. But the place was going crazy for him, and it was the first time. I shouldn't say the first time, because we saw it a little bit in training camp, but the look on his face, that beautiful smile that he has afterwards, even though the Penguins lost the game, you could just tell how genuinely enthusiastic he was about being in the National Hockey League, being a Pittsburgh Penguin. Again, I think you could go on and on forever with this answer. What was your very first impression of the Flower when he showed up at training camp and was trying to make the team and show us all that he could be a goaltender that would win almost 600 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously kind of the inside report from my dad, what a great athlete he was. And I think I believe he's also was the first goalie, or Rick DiPietro was first overall, and then Flower was the second, I believe. But I just remember that game, we probably should have lost 8-0. And I think he ended up with like 40 or 50 saves, I think, on top of that. I think we ended up losing 3-0. But again, yeah, he just made some incredible saves. And then I just remember even, sticking around after practice, he would like put his glove behind his back when you're coming down, so the whole glove side looks open, then he'd like move his glove in the way. And he was just doing this kind of fun, creative ways to make, just you think out. It was just kind of like, you're coming down, you're like, what am I looking at here? But you could always just see how much fun we had. And that's where I think that group was so special, the X generation. And we all didn't really have much responsibilities. So we're hanging out the rink as rink rats and pulling the pranks, and just what makes the game so fun, all that stuff. And we just had such a great group. It was just great to see him have the success he's had throughout his career. But as you can tell, like, he's still smiling, and I think it's that passion and love for the game that we all have at the end of the day that keeps these guys going. But yeah, it was pretty amazing to witness kind of firsthand, and looking back again at his early success, and then now how he finished his amazing career. We all can say, he's just straight up just a great human. And you look at a lot of these guys like Sid and Gino, you got to really have a great heart, and in love for the game at the end of the day, to continue to train and put your body through, what the season puts you through, especially the playoff runs. How challenging it is, not only on your body, but your mind. And it just speaks volumes, again, to all these guys for their amazing careers.
Yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go here on this. The X generation: Ryan Malone, Colby Armstrong, Rico Fata, Brooks Orpik, Marc-Andre Fleury. I think it was the cover of the media guide, and it just had all these headshots of you guys, and then the X over there, X generation. I remember, that's so great that you brought that up, because again, at the time, it was like, here come the younger Penguins. This is something we need to get excited about. And it did, yourself, Fleury, Orpik, I don't want to just name a few, but that was a group that was, at least, in the early stages, like, hey, these guys, this could be fun. And then, the personalities as well, right?
Yeah. And I think, again, I got a kind of a unique perspective, with my dad as kind of the head scout. And then Craig, just even how they want to build the team, right? They wanted to have that depth up the middle, obviously landing Sid and Gino, and then, bringing in Jordan Stahl, all younger guys, these building blocks to build around Orpik, Ryan Whitney. Then you got your, big time goalie. It was just kind of really a matter of time to that blossomed. And that's where, Craig had such that hockey vision of how to build these teams. And that's where, unfortunately, we were in those rebuilding phases, but it was because then you could land these high impact draft picks, in the top 3 to really get those impact players. And we had a few years we weren't the best, but ended up, having the opportunity to draft well. And, they did a great job of building that team.
Okay. I need to know, we talk about the great personality, the great person that Marc-Andre Fleury is, but there were times where you just wanted to grab him and go, what are you doing? And I say that because he was the master prankster. The guy just had the most incredible creativity when it came to pulling pranks on players, doing it all the way through his final season with the Minnesota Wild. Do you remember, if not the first prank, the best one in a way in which he got you, or maybe even a teammate that just made you go, wow?
Yeah. I mean, the one that I thought he did, it's him or Ryan Whitney still. None of them have confessed this, but they bought like sushi and like octopus legs, and they put them into my car and like underneath the seat of my driver's seat. So my car, I'm like, what is going on in here? Like, what is happening? But that stunk up the car. That was one that lingered, we can say, for a while. But I know for myself, pardon me here.
That's Flower calling you right now saying, hey, how does your car smell?
We put them through. I mean, that was the fun part, I think. Flower specifically, I'm pretty sure maybe that was Stalzy's and Thorburns' room. We moved like in the hallway of the hotel. When you got off the elevator, it looked like you were, getting off into a suite, because we literally moved every piece of furniture from their hotel room to like the main floor entrance there, even with the little name cards on it by the pillows when you got home. But usually it was just like around the rink. If it was, and like I said, growing up there, my dad kind of taught me some pranks there's baby powder in the hair dryer you can pour in there. And then you just clean it off really well. So when they turn it on, it's, you're getting the baby powder spray, or even the shaving cream in the towels. You unfold the towel, shaving cream, you fold it back in, and put it nice in the rack again. So when a guy gets out of the shower, you kind of distract them a little bit talking. So they're grab the towel and they start drying themselves off. And usually they have to go back in. That's not nothing too harmful there, but something funny to laugh at. And then usually it came down to the shoes of, I know specifically Ryan Whitney probably went through 3 pairs of dress shoes his rookie year. Obviously from Boston, he's still talking a lot till this day, but he was, as a rookie, talked a little more than he should. So I remember, taking out his insoles and nailing down his shoes in his locker, and then putting the insoles in, and he's trying to pull them out, and we have to go to the plane. We're like going to the plane after practice, so he doesn't have time to get other shoes. So then he has to wear his workout shoes to the plane. And obviously you can't do that. That's a fine. So then we'd fine him too for not having the right stuff on. But it was, again, I think with all those guys. We had too much time on our hands to have that much fun. Again, that's where, we're very thankful to call it a job, but man, it was a lot of fun.
I do also remember the time he slipped inside Colby Armstrong's equipment bag.
Or I think it was a stick
South
bag.
Point.
It was a, yeah,
Stick bag.
it was,
Yes, sorry. Yes.
yeah, stick Floyd. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the pop-out surprises, those are good.
Boom, that's right.
On the road, yeah. On the road too, if you could steal the other guy's hotel room key before they got off the bus, you'd send someone up to the closet or behind the bed or whatever, so they get in there, they're getting settled, and you pop out. Just it's good times.
Good times as well. Yeah, I fell victim to that a few times as well, and was thrilled that he picked me. As Ben Lovejoy once said, "I'm going to find out who did this and do absolutely nothing about it." Something along those lines. Anyway, good times,
You don't want to get
Bugsy.
into a drink war with flour, that's for sure.
No, you do not. Hey,
No.
great talk as always. Appreciate your time. Look forward to working in the studio with you a few more times as the Penguins make this big push to get into the postseason. Bugsy, thanks as always.
All right. Thank you guys. Go Pens.